welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, our Batman Pride Parade this month. I am your host, Bat Obsessive Chris, and joining me as always is my co-host TJ.
Hello, everyone. I am your newly christened Batman Talon, and your name is even in that word. I didn't do that on purpose.
Chris
yes.
Pun.
And punning it up with me, who do we have with us, Chris?
Yes, because we are never alone in the queer community, so we brought some of our favorite returning guests. We have with us, returning for the, third or fifth time, somewhere around there. We have my friend and your favorite listen, Shiri Sondheimer. Hello. With an I Nightwing Dick shirt on, even.
I have to save the Jason Todd one for later this summer.
Ooh, what could that mean? What could that mean? And if you recognize that incredible laugh, you know that we're not just with Shuri today. I made him laugh harder. We also have with us writer of Levistrasa and Trick Pony, as well as Pride 2022, included in the anthology, the amazing mustache himself, Greg Lockard.
That was an amazing introduction. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Greg, are you like known for your mustache? Because you in our community,
you are on our podcast. You are.
I appreciate that. Yes, every time I've had it for a long time now, and anytime I attempt to shave it or modify it, it is usually
causes
vetoed.
riots.
Yeah. The found family vetoes it. So
fair.
Yeah,
love it.
I just remember when we met you at ALA, it was during the masked era, and so we walked right by you because we
couldn't see the stash.
We were like, wait.
I know. Yeah. Well, I think we all suffered in different ways.
And ours was that we couldn't see your mustache.
That was clearly the hardest part for us during all of COVID was that.
Right. Well, Greg and Shuri, thank you both so much for coming to do this with us. Chris and I were really trying to think about, because we tried to bring on two returning guests that we really love every year, but two different ones so we don't repeat ourselves. And we were like, who do we pick this year? And I was like, what about Greg? I was like, let's shoot our shot with Greg because he's so lovely. I was like, and I know he wrote in one, so I don't know if he'd want to talk about the new one, but you did, and I'm so excited to have you back, Greg. And Shuri, I was like, who would be a good person to put in conversation with Greg? And we had just coincidentally been praising Greg's story in the one Harley Quinn romance, the Apollo Midnighter story.
Yeah.
And we were just raving about that. And so it just kind of worked out. We were like, yeah, Shuri. It's got to be Shuri.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And thank you for asking me back. Like last year,
please.
The conversation was wonderful. And
yeah, we've been meaning to have you back for so long.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It just worked out this way.
Yeah. This is perfect.
Yeah.
So, well, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
We both try to segue at the same time. I just wanted to ask, obviously, Greg, you've been in one of the anthologies. Have you read the one before that? Did you read it?
Yes.
Totally put you on the spot. What did you think of 2021? That was kind of the first.
I loved it. I mean, I am a former internal employee at DC Comics, and was involved with the queer group or employee group, I think, that we had at Time Warner. So it was just, it was so wonderformal. Sorry, I'm trying to speech it. I'm trying to make it sound better.
I'm just looking at the stash.
As a former and I'm just not putting words together properly.
That's okay.
But yeah, as a former employee and as a fan and a reader, and it was just so important. So it was so cool to see it come together, and how much support it got internally, and how much it connected with readers was so special. So I think that first year, and it's led to all this, and it's continuing, and so that was a pretty magical anthology.
How about you, Shuri? How about you? Did you read the past two anthologies?
I actually just read last year's that came out in
Fun.
hardcover.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Mhm.
I did not. Did I read the first one? I think I did.
I think you did because I think we talked about it like
I think we
not
talked
on the
about it.
podcast. Yeah.
You guys know my relationship with DC, and
Yeah.
Pride is a little rocky because of past decisions. But there's a story in here we're going to talk about that made me feel a lot better about that. So I don't want to jump ahead too much. But they've done a really good job in the past couple of years.
I agree. Yeah.
Way better than the other guys.
Marvel.
Yeah, you could say it. We call them out all the time.
A lot of the other guys.
True.
Not
Right.
just Marvel. Marvel is particularly atrocious.
Yeah.
But DC has done a lot that has made me feel a lot warmer towards them. And particularly a couple of the stories in last year's was good. It was solid. This year,
especially that Greg one, right? That one Greg, right?
Definitely that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Stand out.
That's okay. I can start crying early in the podcast.
No, because I'm telling you that the story in the Harley Quinn romances was
exquisite.
Banger. In more ways than one. As we have discussed privately off there. But this one in particular hit a couple of really important points that, I'll talk about more as we go through the stories that were more subtle and were not just like, yay, people are gay, let's be happy about it.
I agree.
Some really important things. So I am super impressed with some of the subtleties in this year's.
I agree.
Yeah. And like, not to put it up against Marvel, I already did, but like, I just feel like there's such a genuine aspect to the DC Pride anthologies. And there's when I pick up the Marvel ones, and not to make this about Marvel, I feel like there's something missing, but I think that's just to show how good the DC Pride ones are.
Sometimes it feels like we're just gonna shit on Marvel today, but sometimes it feels like the Marvel anthologies are box checking a little bit. Whereas,
and like, there's great people over there doing great work, like those individual writers.
No, I agree. I'm not actually calling out the writers. I think the writers are great. I think the writers are always held back by the company.
Yeah.
And DC is clearly not holding people back in this way, the same way right now. So
they're like, you want one queer Robin? We'll have another. No, that's just my wishful thinking.
I know. I was like, maybe one day. I was like, did I miss that story where there's a second
we got
one?
like Tim Drake and then John Kent so close together. It's like, all right, who's next?
Yeah.
And then Connor Hawke, like, so
we have time.
they're just pushing them out. Anyway,
pushing them out of the closet.
Pushing them out. They're like birthing these characters into their queerness era.
You guys know that I'm holding this up against independent stuff, and I'm holding it up against manga. So it has a lot of competition in my brain space.
Sure.
There are 3 stories in particular from this anthology that are really sticking around. So that's impressive.
I think I know which ones they are, and I'm very curious.
I know. I'm so excited. Well, let's just get into it.
Yeah, let's start with story 1 then. Should we hop right in? It's the Grant Morrison.
Yeah.
Hayden Sherman.
This is the one I'm most conflicted about.
This is also the one I'm most conflicted about.
Like, and it's just our relationship with Morrison is very complex. So it's like, I appreciate the work. I don't know if it's for me. This story just felt like it wasn't very accessible to me as a person that didn't know anything about these characters or what had happened.
No idea what was going on ever in the story.
Right. But like, I appreciate what's going on. It seems like it's wrapping up a loose end, making it a happier ending for queer characters. And I like that. The art's beautiful. What did you all think?
Yeah. Either one of you.
I can go last.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, Shiri, what do you think?
I don't know these characters, to be perfectly honest. it didn't stand out to me as anything particularly special. And I have personal beef.
We also have personal beef with them, though we also don't know them. So it's okay. We're in the same boat with Morrison.
Ever since they wrote the bondage book of Wonder Woman, I've been like, nope.
Like, as Chris was saying, DC isn't really holding people back. And in a different way, I felt that with this story, and that I was kind of like, maybe someone should have reined back Grant. But Grant obviously is at a point where they don't get questioned. Right.
Totally.
I think that this is the, like, who made Twin Peaks? I can't think of the name at the moment.
David Lynch.
Thank you, David Lynch. This is the David Lynch of it all, right? Like, you reach a certain point where nobody says no to you, and then you make the revival of Twin Peaks, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, we should have said no. We should have said some no."
Oh my god!
Oh no,
I'm disconnecting.
Right.
Okay. Well, actually, that's a good segue because I'm a David Lynch lover.
I am too.
I'm a Morrison lover.
Okay.
You didn't like The Return?
What? Oh no, I don't like The Return.
Twin Peaks.
I love the original Twin Peaks so hard, but not this Return.
Oh, okay. Well, that we can table for the next one.
Okay. Next podcast, we'll do a special Twin Peaks episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yes, please sign me up. But yeah, I do agree with you that Grant is at a level where the editors are just happy when Grant is sending scripts, right? Like
Fair.
Right.
Grant is at that level, and that they participated is kind of major.
Right.
And I do think like this it was a really hard story to lead with because it is so dense, and it is like either it's restarting the multiverse, like it's tying up the loose end, as TJ said, and then like I think it feels like it's restarting. It felt like it was leading into a new multiversity project.
It does say to be continued, so I do wonder.
Yeah. Right. So that like, and then that density of just like ideas, and Grant's throwing, I don't know, like 82 characters at you in 8 pages. It's like,
which I feel like I'm used to that in a Grant Morrison work.
True.
Oh, still don't like it though, apparently.
Grant Morrison definitely just is like, keep up, and if you don't, it's your problem, not mine.
Right. And like I like someone out there, probably this story is for them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like I'm just not the audience, I don't think. So it was a weird one to open on for me. Yeah. But as Greg was saying, like Grant is the headliner of this anthology, I think, which is weird that it's the one that isn't landing for me personally. Right. Yeah. And it's just very different.
Like it's like I'm fine with this story existing. It would be a great start to something, and it seems like maybe it is. And I know they use the Pride anthologies to launch new stories sometimes, since we got the Just Chambers one from last year. Also forgetting what that title was.
that was Teen Justice.
Multiversity?
Yeah.
Multiversity.
It was part of that. Yep.
And I know that they do that, and that's totally cool. But this one, I was like, could we have just like I can't believe I'm asking for exposition, but give me like 2 text boxes at the beginning to tell me what the hell is happening. I don't know where we are. I've never heard of the flashlight. I know who the Ray is, but this doesn't remind me of the Ray I know, and I'm very confused. And yes, I did call him the Fleshlight for the entire thing because I read it wrong.
Is he Ray? Because they call him Red Racer, but they did say Ray. So is his name just Ray, or he's like an alternate Ray?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I think the character's name is Ray out of.
This is not the Ray. Okay. See how confused I was.
He's Red Racer.
It's all valid.
I also thought I was like, this is another Green Lantern named Hank, but it's not the one that we know. What's going on?
That did confuse me.
Sometimes when I'm reading anthologies, I don't look at the author because I just forget. And I didn't realize that Grant Morrison had written this one.
And then you knew.
And if I had,
you skipped it.
I would have skipped it.
Just say it. It's okay.
Oh, I know you're killing Greg.
Greg, we're going to let you your time to just defend this because I realize
I'm sorry.
No, I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah, keep going. Sorry. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm going to tell this story and it may not make sense and it's totally unfair, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I love those kind. It's my favorite kind of story.
So at San Diego Comic-Con in 2018, I interviewed Azzarello.
Okay.
And luckily, some friends of mine warned me ahead of time.
Uh-oh.
He's I heard that. He's a pretty notorious interview.
Okay.
Because he really enjoys being a jerk and making people uncomfortable.
Oh, fun.
In fairness, he does this to everyone, not just women.
I guess that is a way to be fair.
Is that better or worse?
It's better. It's
I
better.
guess it's better. Because if he just did it to women,
it's misogyny.
Yeah.
This is just being an asshole, which is fine.
This is
okay.
So I was warned ahead of time. And like, it's hard to tell from me here because this is me doing something I love and something I'm comfortable with people I'm comfortable with. But in reality, I'm kind of quiet and shy. Like, this is internet Shiri, not real life Shiri. And so luckily, some people warned me ahead of time and I was ready for it. And so, like, I don't know, my first question was a pretty typical question. And his answer was, what do you think? And the DC rep who was sitting with us looked at me and said, you haven't interviewed Brian before, have you? And I looked at him and I looked at Azzarello and I said, no, but I've been warned.
Oh.
And after that, I was a brat. And after that interview, so like, you know, we're talking about artistic influence and something. And he's like, have you ever watched any Japanese porn? And it happened that I had just read this book from Japan that was kind of porny. It was about like this weird cult. And I was like, no, have you read blah, blah, blah? He just kind of looked at me and didn't answer me. So like, but when I finished this interview, which apparently I was told by the rep later went pretty well as interviews with him go. I was like, I'm never reading another book by him again, no matter how good it is. And I'm not reading a book by anyone else in comics who bugs me and whose books bug me. Man, woman, non-binary. That's it. I'm not doing it. Because I just had this experience and now I'm mad. Like, I'm angry. And so later, Grant Morrison said a couple of things in an interview that really bugged me. And then they published the Wonder Woman bondage book. And I was like, fucking like Azzarello, and I'm not reading any more Grant Morrison stuff.
I love that Azzarello's become a curse specifically that you say it.
Azzarello. So I would have actually skipped that entirely. If
fair. You know what? Send me your shit list later off air. I want to know. But
but no, I think what you're saying is fair. Is that like we all have particular breaking points with creators of stories that we decide we just don't want to consume anymore, and that's totally fine. You know.
This is why I never tweet.
Because
no one can hold anything against you, right?
Could never read another Greg story.
He shaved his mustache. I can never read another Greg story.
Greg's an idiot, just like the rest of us.
I think what it is people deliberately trying to make other people uncomfortable.
That's valid.
Not for the
completely.
Not for the purpose of
pushing them to grow.
Right. Like, or like you could turn that around and say, well, this is an LGBTQ anthology that makes me uncomfortable. No, that's not the same.
It's not the same thing.
Right.
I don't think anyone's gonna think you're saying that.
You know what I mean? No. This is for the purpose of expanding people's minds. not for the purpose of asking them, well, do you watch Japanese porn? Because you're talking to, you know, it was my birthday too.
Oh no, what an
What a
asshole.
weenie.
Like,
yeah, this makes sense. I have authors like that too, where I feel very strongly about them because of something they did. And now it's like, I don't care how good you are at it. TJ knows exactly who I'm talking about too. 'Cause,
Right.
you know, it's just certain people you're just like, you could be the best author in the world and I'm never going to read you again because.
Right. And to be
Yeah.
clear, I'm judging this story just completely based off what was presented to me.
You also don't like it.
And I'm having, we're all coming to the same conclusion, I
I don't
think.
expect
Now-
anyone else to pick up my weird baggage.
You're fine.
No, but I found it very insightful.
Your weird baggage is insightful, Shiri. Now,
Yes.
Greg,
Yeah,
please
that's
defend this story because I also do want to hear what's
Yes.
good
What
about
did we
it. Since
what did we
what
like
we
about
missed,
it?
Well-
because I really don't know.
okay. So then, yeah. So for my weird baggage with Grant is that
Ooh.
like I came to Grant like very young,
Yeah.
right, and like teenager. So I imprinted, and for
Yep.
me it was the Invisibles, which
Yeah.
it has its in like opening it up today. It has its problems, of course,
Mhm.
but at that time it was so queer coded,
Mhm.
and there was so little other material like that like for me that was like the end all. Like it broke my brain, and like
Yeah.
there was so much counterculture and like so many like political things that like and like sci-fi and all this stuff that was just like it just fascinated me. So now to have like Grant coming out and those things, that's the part that of me that's celebrating.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is like that may be the opposite of the Azzarello story. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
Well,
the
that's
one
great.
thing for me with that I think we probably read the same interview. Like that wasn't great. Like that didn't help
Yeah.
anyone.
Right.
And
I think I know the one you mean. Yeah.
yeah, but like and I I haven't read. Maybe I stay out of that stuff. Like I'm not reading all that stuff as closely, but I do remember that. And and I see like I don't know, maybe like a little bit of like the positive growth in some of this stuff that like that representation is really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then
Right.
the story, I'm just happy like Hayden Sherman got like a marquee story. Like
Yeah.
that's really
Yes.
cool too. So like seeing like
Yeah.
the product, maybe that part of it too.
Yeah. Oh, the art is
Exactly.
great. That is the thing I will say. I love the art in this.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
the
good.
layouts, everything about it. Hayden did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
And I think Greg, what you were
Yeah.
kind of getting at that I've noticed is that like a lot of the Grant Morrison like lovers are of a certain age that grew up with their
Totally.
work. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
get that. So like when it's
Yeah.
something really meaningful to you and it was a big deal at the time, like it's always gonna have a special place for you and a
Mhm.
ton of people. So like I get
Yeah.
it.
And I will say, like, the last two panels are really good.
Yes.
Like those last two panels when they're holding each other and they fought their way back to each other, and the line of there's all of these bad guys between us and home, or there are 1,000 bad guys between
Yeah.
us and home, but we'll always do it together. That line, like, that's beautiful. I think I wanted more of that throughout the story and a little less whatever the fuck info man is.
And
Yeah.
I thought them as a person coming out
Mm-hmm.
was amazing.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big
Because-
deal.
Knowing their fan base,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was hard, I'm sure.
or much of their fan base, I'm sure that was hard and
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
That impressed me.
I agree.
Right. So this feels like the participation story. It's just a big deal that Grant wrote a story for this book. It didn't matter
It
what
is.
it was
It's
going to be,
huge.
you know.
It's huge.
And they were like, write whatever you want. And, you know, this seemed like Grant was probably like,
You
this
know-
is what I want to do. And they were like,
you know,
okay.
some editor was like, maybe we shouldn't have told them to write whatever they wanted.
Right. We should have given some. It just story.
Maybe some guidance is good.
Right. It just feels like this one's very different in theme and
Yes, I agree.
tone from all of the rest.
Well, I think
But I'm
the
I'm
rest
here
are
for like casual
yeah.
rep.
The rest are so accessible that it does feel different.
Yeah,
because I feel
exactly.
like most part you don't have to know who anyone is to get something out of the stories. I feel
Right.
I don't know.
I feel like maybe this is a good segue into the next one. Do we have anything else you would like to say about?
No, I want to talk about the next one now.
Love's Lightning Heart.
Now that I
I
thoroughly
do like, yeah.
Greg.
But
No, you're
Oh.
good. You're good, Shiri. You're not running
Oh,
anything.
no.
yeah.
No,
No,
you've
no.
offended no one. I feel like we heard
No,
both
totally
sides.
not. No, that all that
Okay.
is, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to police your reaction to Grant Morrison.
True. We don't believe in
Ooh.
policing on this podcast. Certainly not reaction policing. Even if
So
you
the
do
next-
have a Jim Gordon mustache.
Right.
I'm so sorry. I'll stop
Oh
making
my
jokes.
gosh. Is
No,
Greg
it's
the Jim
okay.
Gordon of our podcast? With that stash. All right.
Okay.
Sorry to keep talking about your mustache.
It was
That's
me.
okay.
It's not you, TJ.
Making me feel old.
No,
Or-
it's a good
No,
thing.
It's amazing.
I wish I could
Okay.
go.
I want to be
like
the,
that.
yeah.
All right.
So we get to our first pinup. I don't know who all of these characters are.
It's the first pinup.
Wait, who's the first pinup?
Oh, I'm
That's what
sorry.
I
It's
just-
like
it's
I think Renee Montoya, and she's
Mhm.
arm wrestling someone, but there's some other
Oh,
characters.
yes. This
I
one.
don't know who they
from
are.
Sinister, from Secret Six,
Oh,
right?
Mm-hmm.
I can totally see Nicola Scott drawing them. Oh gosh, but I don't know who it is off the top of my head. I love this art though, Claire
I do
Rowe.
too.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good.
I don't know what else they've done, but I freaking it's
It's
really
so
beautiful.
good. Yeah.
Their clothing is just very casual. So I'm like, how am I supposed to know who these people are? Besides the tattoo one,
I feel like
and
the tattoos
don't
are
know.
are supposed to give it away, but yeah.
Right.
But we got
everyone else, I'm
Renee.
like,
Yeah,
Everybody's so cute in this.
but art is beautiful. Art is beautiful.
We got a progressive pride flag. Yeah.
Right. So
I'm
our
always-
second story.
What'd you say, Shiri?
I'm always a sucker for Renee Montoya in any
Oh,
Oh,
please.
yeah.
She can do anything she
Yeah.
wants. I will
except
thank
on
her.
Gotham. They totally wasted her, but we won't
They
talk
did.
about that today.
They did. We'll talk about that another day now that I know you've
Right.
watched Gotham.
So next
Here's
story.
what the real headliner, in my opinion. It's a Harley Ivy story.
Yes, we got Crush, Harley Quinn, Ivy, and this is called "And Baby Makes Three" by Leah Williams and Paulina
Ganucci, I think.
Yeah. How'd you guys feel about this story?
I loved it. It's super fun. Like it had like the animated feel, so it like feels like in between Batman worlds.
Mhm.
And it was just like, and Crush was like a fun little unexpected
Yeah.
crossover character, but like obviously made sense based on the scenario. And
Yeah.
it was definitely different than like your typical Pride.
Yeah.
Well, we meet up at the parade at the end sort of thing.
Yeah,
Which was cute. Yeah, with
it's
Desert
very
Islands.
personal.
Yeah, interrupting their little getaway was really, I thought it was really sweet.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Shuri? What'd you think?
I wasn't sure until the end,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end, I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say more.
I couldn't figure out where it was going,
Yeah.
and it would have been very cute as just a little vacation story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I wanted a little bit more, especially after the Valentine's Day story was just a really cute story.
Fair.
And I got it because
Yeah.
when it's just Ivy and Crush on the beach and they're talking, she's like, why are you putting up with these shenanigans?
Yeah.
Ivy has a lot to say about how different she and Harley are, but how wonderful that is.
Yeah.
She says, she's so different from me that it's transformative.
Yeah.
And that each of them is whole, and then together they're something else entirely.
Yeah.
And I love that the writers had her see Harley as whole, because
Mm-hmm.
that is new. no one ever sees Harley as whole. People see Harley as an appendage. And Harley doesn't usually see herself as whole. So for her to be with someone who sees her as a complete individual that allows her to see herself as an individual, that's a lot of character development in a very little bit of dialogue.
Such a good point.
And I thought that was wonderful.
As far as like how stories are different in the anthology, I'd show more of a range of queerness. I have to say, I love how this one is, two quote unquote older queers adopting a little gaby and like teaching her about being in love and how cute that is, and then meddling with her love life, and just it's a nice thing, because I feel like we haven't had in any of the anthologies before yet, where we really get to see like an established couple becoming that mentor, that elder gay mentor that so many of us have needed in our lives, and have it be Harlivy, who we all just love so like much. It's so great.
And
I love this one.
The little things that they know about each other, like when Ivy says to Harley, like, this is why I always clear my schedule for 3 weeks when we're going on a weekend vacation.
It's my favorite. I love the details are really, I think, what makes this story, from like their little beach outfits are so their personalities. It's extremely great. They're very sexy without being sexualized, which I love. I love that Harley's little beach outfit includes a garter for some reason. It's the greatest thing ever. But then there's just like all, especially like the montages of them just kind of being a little island family where they're supposed to spell SOS and instead they spell uwu.
So funny. That's probably my favorite part.
Riding dinosaurs.
The riding dinosaurs, the gifting crush with a pet rock. It's just so wholesome.
This one was really good. I thought it did a great job of, like Shiri was saying, like using Ivy to make it a little more serious and like touch on these deeper themes and meanings, and then we have Harley, who's just like really entertaining, and so like I thought they were used in very different ways.
I love the last, again, one of the last panels, I think it's the second to last, is my favorite, where she's just here, come here, you deranged little freak, I love you.
So good. Definitely got whiplash between the last story and this one. I was like, okay, all right, here we go. This is more my speed. Anything else in this one?
Where Crush turns to Harley and she's like, what's wrong with you? And Harley's like, a lot.
We don't even have time.
But that's me, and I know myself, and I found someone who loves that.
It's the greatest thing.
And also, I guess we did mention that like all of these stories and how the anthology was pitched was that this year it's all team up stories between queer characters that don't really interact much or haven't met before. So like, again, going back to the Morrison story, I don't think that one really fit that mold.
Well, who knows? We don't know who those characters are. So somebody there did.
They were like lovers, right? It was about him getting his lover.
I couldn't tell you.
I think I
don't know what.
Educated
I don't know
guess.
what the Fleshlight and Ray had to do with each other. Okay.
Fleshlight.
It's honestly making me so happy that Shiri laughs every time I say that, and not just the first time. It makes me so happy.
This is the first time I noticed.
You didn't notice? I called him that the whole time.
Fleshlight. Okay. I know. I'm appreciating now.
Thank you.
But I thought I don't know a lot about Crush as a character. I still need to read Crush and Lobo. But these interactions were really fun.
This was a good, like especially Galaxy Braid pair up. I feel like I want them to have a whole comic together now, like please.
Yes, and the art was just incredible.
I know. I missed the era where we had like a ton of comics coming out from DC that had this type of art, where it was like Batgirl at Burnside, and now I can't think of any others, but there were a lot. And Marvel had them too. Was that the same era? Because it was like over on Marvel, it was Hellcat and the Iron Fist and Power Man and Squirrel Girl. Like that, I miss that a lot. Bring back the colorful era.
Like Gotham Academy. Another.
Yes. Batgirls has that now, which makes me very happy. Anything else from this before we jump to the next?
Anything else?
Harlivy is my favorite ship in this book. I said it. There we go.
OTP.
OTP. I have another OTP, I guess, that are equal, to be fair, but they're one of my two top.
So our next story is Tim Drake and Connor Hawke in Hey Stranger by Nadia Shamus and Bruca Jones. What do you think, Chris?
Okay, so obviously, my Ace King and my bisexual Robin meeting up was the story I've been the most hyped for. And then it was a slice of life adorableness. And that's what I always want from an anthology like this. Like, I don't want big adventures. I want two people to go to a diner together. I want the like behind the scenes of like who gets assigned the cleanup duty by Batman. I love that. I love that poor Tim and Damian were just like, you don't get to patrol tonight. You just got to clean a boat. It's amazing. And they have paperwork. I didn't know Bat Family did paperwork. That was news to me. But I love that kind of thing. It's my favorite in the world because it felt like a fanfic. And it had this really sweet friendship between Connor. Again, I've wanted so badly for Connor and Tim to interact when they both came out like a year from each other. And I'm like, it's time, you two. It's time. Meet back up. And it was really wholesome.
What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I loved it too. The art definitely.
Yes.
I didn't know Brooke's art at all, and
Mhm.
that was a really fun discovery on this one. I'm definitely out of continuity. I mean, I'm not up on my Bat Family continuity, but I felt like I was never lost in this one. And it is like I was like professionally jealous because like doing just a conversation makes the 8 pages like it's harder to pull off in a lot of ways, and that was always the hard part of this anthology is like fitting in a fight scene and every character on the team, and so like having that clarity or that focus, you know, that it was perfect, and I think Nadia and Brooke pulled it off really nicely. It was a really cute story.
I agree. Yeah, the use of the fight happening immediately before the story picks up.
Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah, used very well, and it was kind of like a gag, and it added a lot of atmosphere. Thought it was well done.
What do you think, Shiri?
This was my favorite one.
Yes.
Oh.
Wow.
And here's why.
Please give me your thesis. I want to hear it.
So, as someone who is pansexual, I think that queer friendships in media, especially for people who are bi and pan, are super important because a lot of people, like my mother, getting personal tonight, think that being bi or pan means that you just want to have sex with everyone. And that you can't have any friends of any gender because you just want to have sex with everyone. I think a lot of people have that misconception. And then on the other side, there's a lot of erasure if you happen to end up with someone of the opposite gender. So having a story where someone who is bi has a queer friendship is really important. And it's also really important that the other person is ace, because that is another group that gets erased a lot.
Yes.
So these two, particularly having a queer friendship, is so important. And it's so important that it goes in a Pride anthology that a lot of people are going to see.
Yeah, I had similar feelings about this as someone who is ace. So that this is our friendship, Shiri.
This is our,
us right here. It's us. But really, because first of all, having my favorite Robin have an ace friend like that does something for my little ace heart. But again, like we were talking about how it's important to show bisexual platonic friendship. for asexual people, there's all this like misconception around like, you don't have romance, so like how is your life full and meaningful? And there's not any appreciation for the fact that friendships like these are how your life is full and meaningful. So to have both of them like that, and then talking about it to each other and having conversations about coming out to their parental figures who are the characters they are the legacy characters of, is so important. And like, you know, Connor having the typical ace thing of like, do I come out to people? It's not like I'm going to have a partner that they're going to have to need explain. Like, do I keep it to myself? But it's who I am. And I don't know how Oliver would react. And Tim being like, Bruce is a dumbass, but at least he watches gay movies now.
Those letterboxed.
Letterboxed.
That was hilarious.
So I had a whole debate with somebody. A side note, I had a whole debate with somebody who I won't call out, but a former guest of our show, about whether Bruce Wayne would have a letterbox or not, if makes sense in canon. And I maintained that it doesn't make sense for Batman to have one. It totally makes sense for billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne to have one. So it's part of his cover.
Alfred's doing it for him.
Yes,
Well,
Alfred is doing it, and he's putting on like stupid reviews, like this movie was so smart, deep, or something.
And it was funny because I was thinking about this some more while I was making dinner tonight.
Yes,
Like, why wouldn't? I mean, I know Connor and Oliver have a very complicated relationship.
yeah,
But I'm like, but Oliver was the liberal one, and
Yeah.
then I'm like, no, wait. Oliver is like my freaking boomer mother,
yep. There you
Like,
go.
who is like, like real liberal in theory.
Yes,
But then when it's like their kid,
Mhm.
they're
Right.
like, whoa, slow down there.
Right.
You're so.
I'm an
right.
ally, but then when my son comes out, I'm like, are you sure?
And like, it's
Oliver Queen is the dad that's like, but it'll make your life hard. Like, I'm not against it, but wouldn't it be hard for you?
God, that's so real.
but like, if Connor were just gay, or maybe even bi, he'd be okay. But like the other letters
Oh
are a
yeah,
little confusing to him.
you're
They were-
100% right. Oliver Queen does not know what asexual is, because
Yeah, like
Connor
that
knows
was
this, and it's
around.
exhausting.
that wasn't like a thing that there was language for when he was like protesting in the late 70s.
You're
So he's like, I don't understand.
Oliver Queen is like, well, everyone's bi, but like, what do you mean you don't want to
Right.
sleep with anybody? I don't know.
Right.
Like
He's
your
like,
mom is bi, but like,
Hal and I slept together once in the 80s. It was fine.
I really like this story. I'm biased because I'm here for Tim Drake.
yeah,
And I also, Chris, I agree. I thought the slice of life aspect was really good. This almost felt like it could be like a Batman Wayne family adventure.
yes,
And just Connor Hawke's story last year, I think, was like one of the most impactful stories in the
I agree.
anthology.
yeah.
So I feel like we haven't really picked up that plot line since then. And I thought this did a good job of furthering Tim Drake's exploration and journey, and the same for Connor, and getting to see them do that together. Like you were saying, that friendship was just really well done. And Tim used a label on himself. He said he was
Yes.
queer. That is
Did
the
indeed.
first time he has labeled himself
Whew, that was a
With-
slow burn.
right with a sort of sexuality. So
Good Lord,
I
was
will-
that a slow burn?
we'll take it. And when Tim first came out, we were like, when we made our episode, like celebrating on the day of, we were like, what do we say? What do we call it? And we were like, Tim is queer. That's what we went with. So I feel a little vindicated.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we did right. We picked the correct one. And just the bisexual lighting at the
Oh
beginning.
my God, yes.
So good. We've already said in general, Brecca's art in general.
Mhm.
Personally, it might be my favorite style in this entire book. Like
Mm.
all of the art is beautiful, obviously,
Yeah.
but like I could like a whole ongoing in this art style with these two characters. I could eat it up.
And this is not like a queer theme, but I gotta say, as far as a Tim Drake fan theme, that Tim gets to be angry and like actually admit his anger to somebody is such a huge character growth for this poor repressed boy to be like it hurt that you weren't there for me. And you know, there's definitely more people in the Bat family he needs to say that to. Dick Grayson, I'm looking at fucking you. But but you know, to have him have one conversation like that and get that kind of healing was really nice to see. It was a corrective emotional experience.
I liked the moment of him saying to Connor, like, even if you don't come out to your dad, you're still queer. Like, I thought that was I felt like we were touching on themes that were really important to the queer community that like made me feel like this book was for queer readers.
I agree.
That some other anthologies maybe don't feel that way, you know?
Marvel. Sorry.
Oh, you know, there's some gems.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I know. And was there anything we would criticize in this book? Any of us? In
this story, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, in this story.
No. Oh, Damien's stuff at the end was very funny. I gotta say, I had to shout out Damien whenever he shows up, and he showed up now in three Pride anthologies, 3 Damien appearances. Come on, DC, you connect the dot. We get it. He's also Ace. Just tell us.
He's gotta be. Come on. I think this story was doing a lot of retconning from what I've done in my research and seen some people saying is that like Tim and Connor were never as close as the story was saying they were, and kind of retconned in those experiences of like talking about sexuality. But I like all of that though, and like I'm not a long-term reader or super fan of either of these characters over, you know, the past decades. So like I like all of this.
I don't know if it counts as retconning to imply they had a conversation we didn't see. Because if we're talking metatextually, of course it's a retcon. Right. We hadn't decided they were queer yet.
I think what I'm more seeing is that like they were never that close. So like we're retconning in that they did have this relationship.
Yeah.
But I like it so much that I don't care.
It's Connor stepped into the Tim Drake paradox of backstory retconning. It happens all the time. His parents are dead, then they're not dead, then they're dead again. It happens. Connor just stepped into it and got affected by it.
I'm just saying we have the wrong Connor in this story.
Okay. Say what you want to say, TJ. Spell it out for the listener.
I mean, we could have had this exact story with, I mean, obviously we would lose the asexual aspect, and I think that's really important.
Yes.
But Connor could have had his own story, and then we could have had Connor Kent.
There it is.
I actually think retconning this same exact thing, but for them, is what we're all wanting in the Tim Con community. So anyway,
you know, it's really not the asexual community that's not represented. It's the Tim community.
Yes, I am the true minority.
Listener, Shiri has died and fell off the couch. She's back. She's okay.
Yep. I said just yell Flashpoint.
Yeah,
Flashpoint.
Exactly.
This was a great one.
This is everything.
So, educate me. Is in the Tim Con community? Do you want Connor to come out as bi also, or just
I mean, I think we would take what we can get and anything they would give us.
As long as he is Tim sexual, TJ.
The general theory, I think, was that Connor would come out as some sort of like bi or pan.
Okay.
You know, it would make make sense.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping for.
It does make sense. I'm just teasing you because I thought it was very funny when you said
I know. I was trying to find a way to be like the asexual aspect is really important, but I feel like there's a way we could have had both.
Okay, first of all, I think we will get there. I don't know that we get there in a Pride anthology. I think that would have to be a main continuity story.
Oh yes, I agree.
And if we got it in a Pride anthology, that would be them telling us to kiss it goodbye in the main continuity. So I don't want it there. I want it where it's canon. Thank you very much. But also, I think this big a friendship story is more important than that ship. I'm so sorry, TJ, because I know.
But it could have been a friendship. It didn't have to get romantic at this point. Just saying. No. Anyway, I love this story. I think it's really good.
I just outright reject that. No, this is not a TimCon place. You keep your TimCon where it belongs.
In the bedroom.
In the bedroom.
We get a beautiful pinup by Babs Tarr
Oh
of Marley
my
and Ivy.
god. Oh my god. It's
I
so
love
good.
Babs' style. It's so good.
No. I love Harley's little heart-shaped boob pasties.
And I think, Ivy, she's wearing the eye.
From Uma Thurman.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
it is. It's the costume that Uma Thurman wore. You're so right.
Yeah, I love that.
Love.
And then we get to our next story, which is Circuit Breaker and Just Chambers and Subspace Transmission by A.L. Kaplan.
NB on NB friendship fun adventure. I loved
Yes.
it so much. Oh my god. I know, I'm sorry. I'm just jumping in first because I got very excited. I am obsessed with Circuit Breaker. I love them. I love their Top Scar costume, like that you can see the top scars on their superhero costume. I'm obsessed. And I love that they get, another story where we get an elder queer, even though, Jess is not that much older, but is elder in the coming out space and time traveling. And so elder that way too, I guess, in the Flash way, but mentoring a young Gaby. And it's so good. This is so good. It made my whole body just excited. And we got queer tarot reading witch representation in a DC comic, which let's go.
What did you think, Greg?
I loved it. AL, if you're listening, please work with me someday. I'm obsessed with this artwork.
He's so nice too.
He is so nice.
I follow him and I send like little heart-shaped heart eye emojis to like every piece of art. So and Circuit Breaker's new to me because I didn't read I think it was Lazarus Planet stuff, so I have to go back and read that. So I think I'm not.
Or don't.
No, wait, no. Do read this one. No, TJ.
Just read this story. Don't read the rest.
Lazarus Planet is an anthology, and it's a kind of a hot mess. But this Circuit Breaker story is so good. So definitely read this one.
Yes. And the Spirit World one.
And the Spirit World one.
That.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
I'm sorry. I keep interrupting your good
I
things.
I love the honesty. I'm
You're
getting
like, read those 5 pages, skip the other 300.
Yeah, and it was just really fun. Yeah, I mean, it was fun, even though I did like not feel like I didn't feel lost, maybe in the way you all did earlier, but like I did feel like kind of that way where you like, like that old, like that feeling that I don't get as often, where you have to like dig. You're like, oh, I have to dig through the back issue bin or whatever, or dig through the older stuff. So it's just really cool. It's cool to see. It's the end of my thought without a period on that sentence.
That's okay. What about you, Shiri?
To surprise everyone, I have no thoughts on this one.
Interesting. Did you also not know Circuit Breaker?
I did not. I think it's really pretty.
Fair.
But that is my only thought.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Do you not know Jess Chamber either? Because these are not like characters everyone knows. So I am
vaguely.
Curious. Okay. That makes sense. See, these two are very important to me. So I think this one is like a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But Circuit Breaker is very new. You could learn more about him in the DC Book of Pride written by Jadzia Axelrod, though.
Do you know? I think one got delivered today, but it got delivered to my old house.
I'm so sorry.
Just order another.
He sent you a package. I'm like, where's my package? And I looked at the picture and it was my old house.
Oh no.
I think they didn't check with me to see if I was still at the same address. It's like, well, that blows.
Well, I'm gonna get you one. We already discussed this, and I'm gonna get Jadzia to sign it, so you're good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I don't know. I just enjoyed it. It's like a cute little story. Like I wouldn't say there's a ton going on in it, but it's more like Circuit Breaker's at the point where they're learning to control their powers, which we've seen Jess Chambers do in like Multiversity and things like that. So it's now Jess's chance to train them. And just they have the fact that there are 2 rather big now characters in the DC universe that are both non-binary to interact with each other is huge to me. That made me very happy. And I just love Circuit Breaker. I want a ongoing, please. Like, I want everything about this character. I'm obsessed with, again, the little queer tarot witch Mira. Also, I feel like, Shuri, this is the one thing I feel like you should have thoughts on, and I'm guessing you didn't see it. The character whose shirt that says "Speedsters want me and fish fear me."
I didn't see that. This is why I hate reading stuff on digital.
I know. I saw it and I was like, Shuri's gonna love this shirt.
That's amazing.
I like this one a lot. Like,
you know what though? I should learn more about these characters because my little would love them.
I think so. I can send you a reading list for these ones if that helps.
well, luckily, Circuit Breaker has that story we were just referencing that they first appeared in is the only other story before this one that you'd have to read.
Okay.
So I feel like
Fingers
this story was
crossed.
doing a lot in terms of like, I feel like at the beginning we were kind of getting a little recap of who Circuit Breaker is for people who didn't know them.
Yeah.
But then also like between the world hopping and all, like I just felt like there was a lot going on. The meeting of the two characters, like I loved all of it, and I feel like it was all juggled very well. Like I didn't feel overwhelmed at any point, and I thought most importantly the arc of that Julian is going through, I thought was really well done and impactful, and just over the course of like 5-6 pages, I thought it was pulled off very well. So when we get to like that last page or two of the payoff of the character arc, like and just visually, and I feel like we're finally touching textually on dressing up as a superhero being
That's
a
what
form
I was gonna
of
say. Yes.
right queer, like drag or leather, as we see in the last page. I thought that was really a nice touch at the end.
I kind of shrieked because as TJ knows, I have done classes on superhero costumes as drag, as gender performance, basically, and to then have it be like canon, I was like, oh my god.
Right, at least one character is picking up on it.
Yes, and I love, we were talking about this anthology feels like it's for queer people. That queer party at the end is what a queer party looks like. Like,
right,
it looks queer.
Right.
We get Julian in literal kink leather gear with a studded collar, and I was like, go baby, go. Also, TJ, is that aviary in the background? The winged character, is that aviary?
It's the Ceary.
Sorry,
I'm assuming that's who it is. I'm assuming, like, who else has wings?
What other non-binary winged character could it be?
I feel like that's them.
The Ceary, thank you. Yeah, I think
but
so.
I agree. Like when I turned the page, I was a little surprised, like that. I'm like, oh, they let Alan do this. Like, I kind of love that because like this is like, I feel like a lot of the times we see pride festivals in comics or any medium,
they're wholesome.
It's right. It's what straight people imagine it would be or should be.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have them all in leather looking a little kinky, I'm like, I loved it. I just thought it was different and really empowering.
DC Pride Anthology says, let kink be at Pride. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Yes. So anyway, Alan, well done. Well done.
Yes. Any last thoughts on this one? I know, sure, you have no thoughts other than you now want the shirt, I assume. I literally can't explain why, as I was reading it, I was like, sure, he's gonna love this. That shirt, that panel, that specifically stood out.
No, I can see this story being hard to comment on when it's two characters that you don't really know.
That's
like,
fair.
So I get it.
Okay, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Oh yeah, Greg, do you have thoughts on the Midnighter and Apollo story called Anniversary by Josh Trujillo?
Oh, okay. I do have to preface this by I am friends with Josh.
Yes, so are we. It's okay.
Right. Can't say anything bad. Not that there's anything bad to say.
No, yeah. Okay.
We love Josh. Also, you have written Midnighter and Apollo, so I imagine this is like
and we were like writing them almost not at the same time, but like overlapping. So we did talk.
Did it feel this is always something I wonder when people write the same character. Did it feel like kind of nice to be sharing them, or did you have a moment where you're like, but they're mine at the moment?
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe no, because like for me, the nerve-wracking thing was touching, like those two are like big, so it was like, oh yeah, like Grant Morrison just wrote them in The Authority, and they've
Steve
all,
Orlando,
right, Steve,
may his
like,
name be praised.
yeah. Like Steve had, I don't know how, that was like 20. It was a lot. It was a long running series. Yeah. And so many. I mean, and then some people that I don't really like that have also written them.
Oh my God, I'm gonna need your shit list too. The DM's got to go off tonight. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I know. I'm like so tempted just to say it. But let's not do that.
We'll ask you later.
I legit was expecting you to be like, I'm not going to do that. No, not to say I'll do it.
I mean, their creator has been outed as not a nice person on the writing side.
That's true.
I'm trying to connect it. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So for me, like having. Yeah, you. I don't think if you're too precious with the characters, I don't think it's good for the characters. So
that makes sense. Yeah,
knowing that they weren't mine, and knowing that they're super complicated in the fact that like they've been mass murderers, and they're anti-heroes, and then they're soft here. The Midnighters ripping heads off people there. Mm-hmm. So they're a wild ride in and of themselves. So like.
They contain multitudes.
Yeah, and that's why that was why my story was like I was trying to like hint at like the multiverse just kind of retconning or mushing all these versions together for like the only way I knew how to like make it all work in my head was like, oh, like you're together for a while with one person, like you and they are all different versions of yourself. Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, so, I love that.
Yeah. So I was super, anyway, so then back to Josh. I was super excited when Josh messaged me. I was like, I'm writing them too for Pride. Because it was just like,
it was like that Kermit the Frog meme with the hood.
Staring at each other.
Or the who would have thought, not us.
Shiri, what did you think? I'm so curious.
I love this one.
Is this one of the ones for you?
One of the ones.
Me too.
Throw bricks.
Oh, good.
And also, you know what? The other thing I'm going to say that I loved about it.
Yes.
They got married. Even though they're already
again.
Okay, I was going to say, weren't they married? Okay.
That's why they say again at the end.
Right. Very, very, very publicly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been a thing. And I felt like this was saying that's not a thing. Even though it technically hasn't been a thing in a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's very obviously not a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I really do. I have it's a really good balance of acknowledge, and I think this might have been what you were saying earlier, Shiri, where it's like acknowledging all of the bad without completely letting go of the good of Pride. Like this should be a celebration, and at times it is, but it's also pain. It also hurts a lot, and there's a lot that's hurting right now. And to have these characters who are in many ways like they're mass murderers and also soft, like, and all those things you were just saying, Greg, but they're the kind of protectors that you want when you are having all this stuff happening. You want to know you have an Apollo and Midnighter who are going to stand between you and the counter protesters and maybe bash heads if necessary, and who are going to hack into the entire mainframe or whatever to put out a gay wedding on everyone's screen, including at the gas stations. An adorable little detail.
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Like, that's what you want. That meme going around where it's like gay and gay protector. They're both gay and gay protector, and I love it very much. There are avenging angels, and we need that.
And that there are a lot of ways to fight.
Yes.
Like that, them getting married again, like that was not a gentle act. That was a giant fuck you.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, because it
good
wasn't
point.
for that. They didn't need that.
They didn't need that.
No, but everyone needed that from them.
So it wasn't violent, but it
Right.
wasn't gentle either.
I agree.
Yeah, well put.
You're making me like it more than I did. Like,
Oh,
and not that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Midnighter and Apollo characters I don't have a very strong connection to, but
We'll get you there.
I love the archetypes of them and what they are and what they stand for.
You mean gay Batman and Superman?
Exactly. And being Batman and being gay. I'm here for that.
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of the themes in this story I had seen done before, but that's because they can be done well, and I feel like they were done well in the story. This is kind of one where I was like, I don't have strong feelings on it, but I thought it was well done, it was well written, and I love the art. And again, maybe if I had stronger connection to the characters beforehand, I would, I'd have more intense feelings.
That's interesting.
But I really liked it.
This is the one I had the strongest feelings about. Like, I loved Tim Drake's story a lot, but I actually feel more strongly about this one. And I think I related so hard to Apollo in this story, where he's, Apollo is this symbol of light. He's the more violent and gay Superman, right? He's the, behind every gay man is a eviler, gayer man. He's that for Superman. Someone please draw that for me. But truly, he's that. And Superman is this like symbol of hope, and so is Apollo in his way. And to see him feeling like I think a lot of us are feeling right now, where he's like, why are we protesting? It's not going to do any good. They hate us. They're going to hate us no matter what we say, no matter what we do. And people are just going to get hurt, and none of it matters. And to have him kind of wrestling with that, and then have Alan Scott show up, and he's the symbol of where we've been, because he's the oldest, like chronologically oldest gay in the DC universe, maybe.
At least maybe hero wise.
I think so.
Yeah, right. I don't know if Gregorio, what is his name? Gregorio is older or not. That's not his name. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about. The wizard.
The wizard.
Gregorio.
What's his name? Gregorio.
Gay Doctor Strange.
Gay Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's older or not than Alan Scott. I can't remember.
True.
But they're like the oldest runs, right? And to have him come in and be like, look, it's bad. Like, no one's saying it isn't bad right now, and it's worse than it's been for a while, but it's not worse than it's ever been, because I was there when it was worse, and we have come somewhere. To have that kind of perspective from this gay character, and the fact that, Apollo and Midnighter are of this later generation, they were able to come out sooner. They didn't have the same struggles, so now they're having this struggle, but they needed that reminder that Alan Scott wasn't able to come out at all until he was, middle-aged. And I think this story really spoke to me, because it's really hard right now to not lose hope completely, and to not say, what the hell is the point of fighting? And to have superheroes have that battle and come out the other side of it, and the battle be within themselves, that I needed that story a lot.
What I'm looking through these pages, and what I think my issue is, and it's not an issue with the story at all. I think it was just a little too real for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
you didn't want that right now.
I'm looking at the page where they're facing off with the protesters and like getting spat on, and I'm like, I was feeling almost like a dissonance with the story, because it felt too real to me. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, and that's a me thing.
No, that's fair, and I think that's good to like note. I think so. TJ and I went to Philly Pride yesterday, and we had a genuine discussion on the way. Like, is this safe? And of course, the answer is no. It's not. So why do we go anyway? And we like genuinely talked that through as we were driving there. And I come down on the side of you can't let people run you off. That's the point of the fear, right? But thinking about that, the timing wise, I read this story after we went to Pride, and then reading this story then, and I was like, Yeah, this story is why. This is why we keep going, even when it is scary. And there's a panel where there's drag queens holding up signs and of a Marsha P. Johnson quote on it that says, "No pride for some of us without liberation for all of us." And there's all of this stuff in it, which is, I guess, so encapsulating exactly how I've been feeling this year, that this story meant a lot to me. And to have it be from characters that already meant a lot to me, I'm getting choked. I'm gonna have to stop talking because I'm getting choked up. Someone else take over.
I would say that this is the most relevant story in this anthology. And it really reminds me of the Love is Love anthology that came out right after the Pulse shooting.
It reminded me of that too.
And those were stories where we were taking superheroes from DC specifically and putting them in real life pride situations and like hate crimes, and so that whole book felt very real to me. And I think this story is doing that same exact thing, which is very different from the other stories in the anthology, because I think most of them are like letting us escape, and this one is not. But I think that can be even more powerful. And I'm thinking I wasn't in the right headspace when I read it, and I'm excited to read it again after you guys talking about it.
I didn't realize Pittsburgh Pride Parade was the first weekend of the month.
Yeah, because it was very last minute, but we can talk about that later.
I was I see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it was the first time a sitting governor and lieutenant governor came to Pride here.
Yeah.
And my first thought when I saw they were both here was, well, that's stupid to have the governor and the lieutenant governor both at the same Pride Parade.
Yeah.
I was like, who thought that was a good idea? Because I was like, Jesus Christ, if something goes wrong, the state has no leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my first thought. And that was scary. That was my first thought. And then the Fettermans were here too. And I was like, oh great, we just finally elected a Democratic senator. And now something, like, what if something happens? It's terrifying.
Yeah, I think this story definitely touched on
but
those feelings.
The plan was to bring the kid. Kid wanted to go. I was planning to take the kid. We'll go to one of the smaller ones anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Nice. Yeah.
I think I was reading this story. I want to talk about the other Midnighter and Apollo story. Written by one Greg Lockard. I wasn't ready for this one.
Oh, good. I love that you picked up on that and you enjoyed the heat, I guess. That was very intentional. And I did try to see what we could get away with.
Both very good, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was like completely literally in a fantasy world.
Right.
Completely removed.
And see, that's what I need right now, I think. I didn't, I mean, maybe I do need stories like this one too, but I don't know if I was ready for it when I read this a week ago.
Yeah.
No, and it hits us all in different places emotionally or whatever. And I think, just to segue to a nice note, the letterer Lucas Gattoni, who worked with me on some books, also it inspired him and his partner to get married.
I saw that.
Isn't that cute? Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's been Instagramming it and stuff, so I'm not
sure
revealing anything.
I saw it on Twitter.
But, okay, good. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was so sweet too. Like, just of the spectrum of like,
that's powerful. That's like the power
Yeah.
of stories. You know.
And I love all the heroes that are at the wedding. That made me really happy too, because
yeah, that's a good. Yeah.
We've got like Bunker and Batwoman and Crush and Obsidian and I can't name everybody. Dreamer's in here. I see Dreamer.
Yeah.
And Ray.
Oh, Gregario's there. He is there.
Oh yeah, Greg, you know Ray.
What's that? Yeah, what's that wizard's? What's their code name? It's like, because Steve Orlando wrote him too, because he was like,
yep. Mm-hmm.
Steve was sort of like reclaiming him too, right? Because he was sort of.
Is Jackson Hyde? He's
yeah. This art is super beautiful too and lush. I didn't know Dawn's work.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
This is really, the whole thing is really gorgeous.
I know. I'm realizing I've zoomed in now and I'm like looking at all the guests. Harley is there and Aquaman and some drag queens. And I don't know. I'm just loving it.
Yeah, Crush. We got the whole JLQ.
The JLQ is represented.
I mean, honestly, I think that is the roster was
the most of them.
Part.
Yeah, that is most of them. Love it.
Well, do we want to move on to our next story?
Yeah.
We have Lost and Found, a Spirit World story by Jeremy Holt and Andrew Drillin.
I am so excited. Listeners, if you haven't jumped on the Spirit World stories that are coming out right now, you need to do it. This is an incredibly amazing non-binary Asian person and a story with tons of cats. and Cassandra Cain is not in this story, but Cassandra Cain is in that story and gets to have an Asian friend, which apparently is hard to come by in Gotham since Gotham's so white. So look, I said what I said. Name another Asian woman in Gotham. Yeah,
I'll let you know.
That's right. And you can't.
The villains have to paint themselves white.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I did slight research, and I think the way you pronounce this character's name is Xanthi.
Xanthi? I think
Xanthi,
so. I think it's Xanthi. I don't think it's Xanthi. It's just Xanthi.
Well, the sketchy YouTube video said otherwise.
Maybe it is, but
I'm not sure.
I think it's Xanthi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love them. Xanthi.
I love Xanthi so much. I was so excited because this character is very new to DC in general, I think, but definitely new to me. With the start, only Spirit World 1 is the only one that's out yet, but I'm already like so hooked on this character. I love that they're a new Gotham character. I don't know. I really love them a lot.
This was another Lazarus Planet short story.
Yeah.
So read this one too, Greg and Shiri.
That and then read that one and then start the Spirit World stories that like that's its own title. It's very good. It also has Constantine in it. It's a very gay story.
They just reprinted it in the it was like a free special. It's like a free comic book day one, and it's on the app for free.
Oh, nice.
If you don't want to dig through the Lazarus Planet stuff,
yeah,
is what I'm saying. Spare yourself.
I appreciate it.
Was this a character you two were familiar with? Like, how did this story read for you?
No, yeah, new to me too. I mean, I've seen like the press of all like the launches out of like the Spirit World and what's the other series, the Vigil.
Yes,
I think there's like
and the
three.
City Boy. I think his name is.
Yeah. So I've seen that stuff, but yeah, I wasn't familiar with any of the characters. But yeah, this is really cool. It's a really cool power. It feels like a little bit like it's Gotham-y, but it's also like a different angle, that's not just like another it felt a little bit like Spectre, like like that sort of like still like crime, like mystery stuff. But it's
side
just
of it.
It was just a really cool visual hook, which is like so important to like making a comic book interesting. So I was really into it.
Yeah. What do you think, Shiri?
This character in an issue of Wayne Family Adventures, because they looked very familiar to me, and I recognized their bat with the trans flag on it?
No, so you're thinking of Alicia. Alicia Yo.
Yeah.
Oh, there is another Asian person.
There she is.
There she is. Sorry, Alicia. We didn't mean to forget you.
Okay.
That's
I
you are
liked
thinking
it.
of Alicia, yeah.
Okay. I will read. Does Alicia have a similar haircut?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking of the story Jadzia wrote in last year's anthology.
So you did just read it because you literally just read that anthology. So
Yeah.
I literally just read that down.
Yeah.
I liked this because despite Xanthi saying that we don't get to choose our family, it reminded me that in fact we do get to choose our family.
Yes.
True.
Which
Yeah, we can choose how we love them. Is that what it says?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was good.
But you can choose your family.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an important thing to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be hard to balance, and sometimes you're stuck with people because of extenuating circumstances.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're a Bat family member and you can't stop going to their graves, even if it probably should give away your identity.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a ton to say about this story, but I feel like that's because I'm lucky enough to be getting the Spirit World series at the same exact time. So like,
so
the meat of this character is elsewhere, and this is kind of just like a fun, like, I like the Batwoman interactions are great, and I'm kind of shipping it a little bit. Like,
I'm shipping it hard by that last panel. Are you kidding?
Like, I'm into it. So like, that's really all I have to say about it. But that's because like I feel like it's like the Circuit Breaker story, like that is, as far as we know, that's the only thing we're gonna get with Circuit Breaker for a hot minute.
Which I don't believe, by the way.
And it was like delivering a character arc, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I feel like it was like a whole meal. Whereas this isn't a meal, but that's because the meal is elsewhere. It's a snack. Yeah.
I loved a lot about this. I mean, I love Xanthi to pieces. I love the exploration of their power. I'm obsessed with the conversation they're having with Batwoman, where they're like, if it helps, I'm both alive and dead. And Batwoman's like, in what world do you think that made anything clearer? I was like, yes. But yeah, I also just love Batwoman being just her beautiful idiot self and being like, a family like this, I'm at this grave, but it's not related to me or anything, but they remind me of my family who's very much like the Canes. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
And I'm always glad to get our Jewish queer rep, because we don't get that much of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love her.
Severely lacking.
Agreed. I love Xanthi making her the tree, the life tree out of paper and it coming to life. And that last panel where she's like, I feel like you're flirting with me. And she turns around and Xanthi's pulled a full Batman and is gone.
That's what got me when I was like, oh, I'm into this.
I want to be into it, but we also canonically know that Batwoman is a terrible girlfriend. And I feel like I want better for Xanthi.
True.
But,
Xanthi's just such a cool character.
I know. Batwoman is bad lesbian girlfriend representation.
Yeah, but don't you get like a motorcycle out of it? It's worth
true.
it.
You know, everyone needs to go for a ride sometimes.
So you're saying Chris and I on the way back from Philly, we're playing Fuck, Marry, Kill. Are you saying Kate would be the fuck in every scenario? You cannot marry Kate Kane. Do not do it.
Yeah,
you have to love yourself more than that, you know?
Yeah.
So after this, we get a pinup with Jackson Hyde, Aquaman, and his boyfriend.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Oh, I also don't remember his name. Sorry.
But they're cute. They're on a cute date. Cute date.
It almost looks like it's the same date from the last anthology. Like it's been a year-long date at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we reach Teamwork Makes the Dream Work, which is about Steel and Nubia, and is it EO or IO?
Io.
IO. By Mildred Lewis. What do we think?
Who wants to go first? I've gone first the last couple times. You want to go first, TJ?
Beautiful.
You haven't gone first yet.
Me first? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make this a thing. I'm gonna pull a Shuri.
You have no thoughts. You have no thoughts. Just
absolutely no thoughts about the plot. This was actually when I skimmed going through it the first time, and then today I went back and was like, no, I really actually need to pay it some attention properly. And really just my thought is that the art is fantastic. But again, this is a story where I don't know anything about any of these characters, which I don't, and again, just maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I knew them ahead of time, which I guess is how you guys might have been feeling about like Xanthi or the Flash character. So this is my version of that for me.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with Mildred Lewis's work, so that was like a real treat for me. And
such a treat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, Natasha Irons, I maybe know better, and I really like that she's getting more screen time. It feels like, I feel like there's like a Superman launch coming soon, right? I think or mini.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I believe. And this was really nice. It was nice that it was just like queer characters just doing superhero stuff too. Like it was kind of a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
I might not have like any strong feelings or thoughts, but it made me feel happy. Like, we talked about Morrison getting to write whatever they wanted to write. This felt like to me like this was like a passion story for someone that they were like, oh, I love these characters and I really want to show them together. And so like that was fun. Even though I just didn't know them.
Stephen Leva's not here, so I'm gonna rep him for a second and say,
oh yes,
it is very exciting to see two Black women in a comic talk to each other at all, and have it be two Black women who are not related to each other, because that's usually the only time we get two Black women talking to each other, and then for them both to be queer. I mean, this is what we would call unprecedented.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It is a big, I mean, you don't see that. The times you see Black women talking to each other in comics, as Steven has said, you can go back and hear in Batman Eternal where we talked about this, is when it's a mother and a daughter, or like an aunt and a niece. You don't see this. Two characters who don't know each other, who are like existing in other places in the DC universe, actually coming together, and they're just existing together, and it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
that's major.
What do you think, Shiri? Wow, we just said it at the same time.
I thought it was super fun. Nubia is usually a really serious character.
She's the paladin of the
right. So it was fun that somebody picked her up and did something a little bit silly with her. But didn't embarrass her. Like she got to keep her dignity. But she got to have a little fun, and she made a new ally, and it was not a romance story, which was kind of fun. It's another friendship story. It's another queer friendship story. And like you said, between two Black women. Which definitely need more of those.
And can we just like talk about the art for a second? Because
the art
I'm obsessed.
Wonderful.
This is like, I want to like whole TV show in this art style.
Exactly. It reminded me a lot of like a new and upgraded version of like the Static Shock TV show. Like it had that vibe to me, kind of. But newer and more modern in a way, and I really liked it.
I love when
Yeah.
people play with panel shapes too.
Yes, me
Like
too.
it doesn't have to be squares and rectangles all the time.
Exactly.
It's very, maybe I'm biased. It's very Galaxy the Prettiest Star, and I love that.
by Jadzia Axelrod in stores
Have you
now.
heard of it? I don't know. There's just something about
Yeah.
the style, and like you were just saying about the panel shapes. I feel like it's
Mhm.
very, very Galaxy. Maybe it's more of a. I think this writer is coming from like a YA middle grade background, so that could also
Oh.
be part of the similarities I'm seeing,
Mhm.
which I love.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so Mildred did both art and story in this, which I don't know, I'm just
Mhm.
blown away. So I'm like, more please, more of this.
Yeah.
It's
Then we have
dynamic.
our
The
dynamic,
panel
yeah.
shapes tell you where you're supposed to look next.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that you don't know, but
Mm-hmm. It's very dynamic.
I like
Yeah.
it.
And we have our
Instead of-
the Beefcake Bad Boys pinup.
I
Who are
died.
these men? Who are they?
I'm not surprised that Tamara did the colors on this.
I know, right? And Travis Moore. I mean, come on. Yes.
Those nipples, I knew who drew this.
Like, we see you, Travis. We
Oh,
see
yeah.
you.
It's like when Chris Anka does a butt.
Yes. Oh, I
That's so
love that
funny.
one too.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
these
So
nipples.
Like everyone's like, oh, Chris Anka did Miguel's butt in Across the Spider-Verse. And I was like, oh, of course he did.
Amazing.
And then we get to our second to last proper story, which is Catman and Ghostmaker in the Dance by Rex Ogle and Steven Sadowski.
oh my god.
Our
So can we talk about actually unprecedented things? This is the first time there was sex in a DC Pride anthology.
Oh.
Mm,
It is the
That's-
first time.
you might be right.
Yeah. Oof.
I know,
Huh.
but like, again,
Yeah.
it makes sense. The first anthology was very much like breaking in, getting people used to it. The second one grew a lot. Like, if we're talking arcs of these anthologies, it grew a lot. There was a lot more depth to it. This one is the first time we've seen like that party that was very kinky, and we literally
Yeah.
see two gay men in bed together. First time in a DC Pride anthology ever.
Wow.
This is
It
the
felt like
horniest DC Pride.
This is the horniest DC Pride, and I like that. It's important to me.
This felt very much like a nice shoes wanna fuck story.
Yeah,
Mm.
it is 100%. They're like, hey,
Totally. Yeah.
you are hot. I am hot. We just happened to solve a crime together. It would be a shame if we weren't to just fuck.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's, I think we've talked about before how in comics, once you come out and you get a partner, and or not just in comics, but like they try to pair you up and marry you off, and
Mhm.
And you don't get
and
your
what we-
slut era.
right, while we
Yeah.
do need stories like that, we can't have them all be married off, and I like that. So this is like a very casual, like, no, we're just gonna bang and that's all we want here. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Slut era representation.
It's
This is my
hilarious.
first Catman story.
It's hilarious that the
Ooh.
blindfold is not kinky.
It is very funny. It is very funny.
Yeah, he's not into it. Catman wants to see his face. Yeah, I like this. I'm a big Ghostmaker man myself,
I know.
so this was exciting to see him have a story.
Mhm.
What do you think, Greg? What are your feelings on this
Yeah.
spicy little story?
Yeah, I guess I'm so desensitized. I didn't realize this was the first, like, after Glow story. So that is really cool. And it's like if you're pulling Steven Sadowski back into the fold, like, let
Yeah.
him draw naked people,
Please.
especially men.
Always.
Like, that's all
I
I'm
saw
not
someone
answering.
else saying that was a big
Like-
deal that he was back. What
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with his work. Can you like tell us what he's known for?
the last like big run was like the JSA with Jeff Johns, I think was kind of like his like big splashy run. And then he kind of has bounced around since then.
Nice.
And I think sort of left comics for a while too. But yeah, he's definitely of like my age group, Phil Jimenez age group too. So it's like of a time when there was no Pride anthology. So it's that was really fun to see because like his Catman is really fucking sexy.
Oh yeah.
No Pride anthologies, just Grant
yeah, like
Morrison.
I mean, like we all fell in love with Nicola Scott's Catman. I think like
Speaking of good butts,
Catman has a purpose. Yeah. Right.
Nicola Scott knows how to draw them.
I'm excited to read more Catman. I don't know anything about him.
And we might be reading more Catman coming up, listeners.
I would like to point out no one is laying on diamonds and there are no extra feet.
I like you're gonna start purring, aren't you?
I loved it too.
So good.
All of it was good. I was here for every second of it. I really liked the comparison of, the just Ghostmaker celebrating bodies, and he was just like, the beauty of bodies fighting, the beauty of bodies fucking, and that I don't know. I really thought that was poetic. I know you're laughing, but I mean it.
I'm laughing because it's making me think of Chris is making me watch the Fast and Furious movies, and Vin Diesel has a line where he's like, "I don't care about the make of the car. I appreciate a fine body, no matter the make." So this is what I'm thinking. It's very Ghostmaker.
That is Ghostmaker coded.
Yeah. And just the fact that this story is called The Dance, and they literally are like, let's continue this dance elsewhere. And they're talking about fucking. So it's basically called Fucking is the name of the story.
The story is called Fucking.
Yeah.
That's Pride Anthology 2026. We're just gonna have a story called Fucking.
I love it. It was good. And then we do reach.
It's making me think about that panel I did once upon a time.
Oh, which one's that?
The one I told you guys about.
Remind me. I can't think.
The one about why seeing Batman's dick broke the internet.
Oh yes. Oh God, yes. I forgot about that panel. Such a classic.
It was great.
Shout out to the Batman the Damned and aka Batman and the Dick.
Special place in my heart.
We called it the Bat Away.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one.
We get a pinup of a poker game. I do not know this blue skin Mystique man.
Mikkel, the Blue Star Man.
It's Mikkel, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've got Pied Piper here, and we've got Alan.
I think the blonde, is Rachel Pollack's character, right?
Yes. You're right.
Which I'm again yet to read anything, but I'm reading about them.
Batwoman, Alan Scott, and then who's that? Is that Gregario?
I think that's our. And I looked up their his
name.
His code name Extrano.
That's right. It was bothering me so much I couldn't think of it.
Me too. I was blanking, and it was because he was in Steve's Midnighter or in Steve something.
Yeah,
Steve Orlando wrote.
No, he was in Steve Orlando did in the Pride Anthology.
Yeah,
a few years
ago. That's what it was.
He was in there with Constantine.
Yes. With I can picture it now. Yep.
Speaking of Constantine.
Yeah. Speaking of.
We're at our last proper story in the anthology.
Because it's not a Pride anthology if John Constantine doesn't come in here and mess with somebody.
Speaking of Constantine, there better be a Constantine and King Shark in next year's, or I'm gonna write
That's what we all want. It's what we all deserve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were like fucking in one of the movies, right?
Yeah,
they were.
I'm here for that. But here we have John Kent.
Wait, which movie is it? I'm blanking on it.
It was the last one. They at the end of that movie, they reset the animated universe.
Oh yes, what is that movie called? Oh my god,
I think it was the Justice League Dark one.
It is the Justice League Dark.
Yeah, the very last one.
And
Yeah,
like they walk into a bar and he's like, oh no, my ex. And Raven's like, you dated Harley? And he was like, no, not Harley.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's
Sure.
brilliant.
Oh my god, so
That would
real.
be a great story. Like they've done, even if they don't want it to be in main continuity, like they've done other realities on these. That'd be great.
I like that. That'd be cute.
That's amazing.
But
Yeah.
this one, we have Constantine and John Kent in My Best Bet by Christopher Cantwell and Skylar Patridge, who is amazing. Just
Hey,
saying.
Skylar. I don't know if you're listening, but we love her.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What do you think?
I try not to be a fanboy about certain characters. Unfortunately, John
Yeah.
is one of
Which
those
one?
for me.
That's
Which
true. These
John?
are both John.
That's true. That's fair. Constantine. Yeah. So this was fun. It had like a weird, and so then the Jonathan Kent of it all, like it had a weird thing like tonally for me, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been keeping up as much with those stories in the Superman universe, but yeah, it was like I wanted to. It felt like stumbling in my critique.
I get what you're saying, though. I feel like I'm there with you.
Tonally, it just wasn't. It felt like it was two things or maybe three things.
Right.
And
to me, it felt like it was more focused on this bet plot than I needed it to be. Like of what was going on. Like I wanted more character interaction between them, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I love both of them.
Totally.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
I think I had no particular feelings about it because I was just like, okay, so that happened. That was a thing that happened.
Yeah. I think what TJ hit it perfectly. Like you have these the big one of the biggest contrasts you can get out of like the heroes and anti-heroes in this anthology. And that I think is where all the interest was. And then they were essentially not in the same panel together the whole time.
Yeah,
right.
They're kind of because they're both bisexual, right? Like it's kind of cool that it should be cool that they're interacting. So we have the like sweet soft boy John Kent, and we have the messy, chaotic anti-hero that is John Constantine. That is like peak for a good dynamic, and then have a storyline that literally keeps them from interacting is baffling.
Right. And like I'm looking at the panels where John Kent is screaming at Constantine. And like that was someone pointed out on Twitter that we haven't seen John be that emotional in a comic in quite some time because he keeps his cool for the most part recently.
It's
exactly what we're getting isn't even real. So by the end of the story, we've really got nothing real between them. It was a little too complicated, but I love the bisexual lighting in the background and the art's fantastic.
What do you think, Shiri?
Yeah.
Actually, Constantine has pansexual lighting.
Oh wait.
Oh.
Where? Oh.
Where are you looking?
Toward the end.
You're right. Because the bisexual lightnings when they talk to each other, and then oh my god, I didn't even see the pansexual lighting.
Oh, I love that.
I just noticed.
I'm beside myself.
Oh, that's so good.
It's so
That's
good.
good. Yeah.
I agree, and I think actually how this came to happen would have been a much more interesting story than the fight itself.
Yes.
Like, really? Like, how did he convince Jonathan Kent to do this? And how did he do it without Clark knowing?
Yes.
Like, there's a billion ways Clark could have caught this.
Yes.
Right. So how did this happen? And how did they get it past Clark?
Yes.
Clark would have never.
Yeah, you're right. I would have seeing that conversation of him like approaching John and propositioning him would have been really interesting. And then the last page.
We don't want him propositioning John.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Clark would have to be off planet to not hear this.
Clark is off planet somewhere and is like, "Oh shit, I'm coming."
Right.
The next panel, the panel that we don't see.
Sun.
Yeah.
You're in the next solar system. You still. you're back. Right?
Yeah, exactly. The panel we don't see is the one right after the story where Superman just shows up and is like, "Did you flirt with my son? No? Okay. You get to live.
So like,
Get to
how does
live."
this happen? How does this even happen?
It's really
Is what
baffling.
I want to know.
It is
Yeah.
baffling.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
that's a
agree.
really good point.
Yeah, I feel like the story we were given was the part that we could have skipped in the story. Because we could have just cut to the end of him having the orb means that they won, you know.
This is the least interesting part of the story.
Oliver is the hot bartender he was in love with, right? Is that who this is? Does anyone else confirm?
On the DC Wikia, it said it was
Thank you.
Oliver Queen.
That's what I thought it was Oliver Queen.
Because in the Dark Crisis event recently, he was like killed or trapped somewhere.
I can't keep up with whether or not Oliver is alive. You can't expect me to know that.
So the fact that this ties into such a major thing recently is kind of weird to me, because every other story was like accessible besides the first one. So this one feels like it's weird that it's tying into something major like that.
It is weird. It is weird. I didn't know he was dead, so that's news to me.
I just assume
I think he's like trapped.
Oliver, they mean Oliver Queen.
Well, I gotta look, but I could have sworn that Constantine's bartender boyfriend was also named Oliver. So now
he might have been.
I'm gonna look because I think I'm right on that.
Yeah, but I love Christopher Cantwell, who wrote this. I'm a big fan of his work. He wrote the United States of Captain America that I love.
Yes.
And then he also did a run
which is
on
getting
Angel.
The one character in it is getting a ongoing. By the way, it is Oliver. It is Oliver. Oliver is his boyfriend. Okay,
You were right.
Oh,
So maybe the DC Wikia is wrong.
I knew
I'm
that.
sure.
So for people who don't remember, James Tynion IV wrote Constantine's story, which is my favorite. It's the most bisexual ever Constantine is. And he falls in love with a bartender named Oliver, and it is like so wholesome because it is the first time that Constantine is like feeling love and not just like these kind of one-off relationships, and he's like kind of fucked up by it. So he's like, what do I do with this feeling? And it's this guy who is like a son, and it's this really sweet thing, and he's pulled between wanting this and then also knowing he can't have it without messing it up, and then Oliver dies. So I think that's what this is, because he gets
I think it's Oliver Queen.
Why the fuck would they do that?
Because John says, like, for Oliver, probably. It's like he's saying Superman would do it for Oliver, probably. So like they're talking like he's like a connection between Clark and Constantine.
If that's the case, they should have clarified it, because there's an important Oliver to Constantine that died.
Yeah.
And I think the story's better if it's his boyfriend. So I'm sorry.
I agree. You can headcanon it, even no matter what they intended.
Also, Superman doesn't even like Oliver Queen, so I don't think it makes more sense for him. No one in the Justice League fucking likes Oliver Queen. You can't lie to me on this.
We get a Doom Patrol pinup, which was nice.
It was very
I
cute.
love that show. You get Danny the Street in the background.
Yeah.
And then we get to the tribute to Rachel Pollack, which I, of course, I know about her now, but I haven't read much of her work yet. Did anyone read, like, I'll be honest, I didn't read every single essay here yet, but I've read a few.
I've read them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really beautiful tribute. And it's great that Rachel's Doom Patrol run got collected last year. Yeah. So the timing, was really sad. I didn't realize that Rachel was tapped to work on this anthology.
Yeah, that was really them saying that they used these pages for this instead was,
Yeah,
but I think they were great tributes, and it was really, there was a lot of nice history in there. So yeah, if you have time to read it, I definitely recommend it. And I definitely recommend tracking down those, especially the Doom Patrol stories that Rachel wrote.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I think we will definitely cover it at some point.
I agree.
Yeah,
Um,
especially like the show, because like there's so much of Grant in the show, but I think there's a lot of Rachel in there too, I think.
I
Aw.
agree.
Yeah.
I love that very last quote of "Remember me in Doom in the Dream Patrol," as she put it.
Yeah.
That was really
Yeah.
beautiful.
I read Jadzia's essay, obviously.
Mhm. Good.
And that
Okay,
was really
Greg,
touching.
in case you don't know, we're friends with Jadzia. If it hasn't been obvious, the fact that we bring her up every 5 seconds.
No, I think I knew that from ALA, right?
Oh,
I
yeah, that's
think.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
So just her saying thank you for being the first of, creating a queer trans superhero, like, that was really powerful. And Tom Payers, which it was his was very interesting to me, because I was like, where are we going with this? And then I just liked that it was kind of a mundane story where he tells her about quitting his editorial job, and she just says quitting is good for the soul, you do you.
Mhm.
Like, that was really,
Yeah.
really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
As a former
memory.
DC or Vertigo editor, that story was very relatable.
Right?
So freelance and writing, everyone's freaking out, and understandably so. Like, what does this mean for me? But Rachel having like the human reaction was really beautiful.
Yeah. Did you have any experience of Rachel Pollack's work, Shiri?
Yeah.
I have not, but I'm going to.
I know, right? It was definitely inspiring to jump into that.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I was telling Jadzia, like, these essays, the ones that I've read so far, really moved me. And I am not super educated on her work or have read them yet. So, like, I can't, the people that do have a strong connection, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to sob. Like, it's just such a beautiful tribute.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see what she would have done.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a gut punch hearing about that in the anthology.
My husband probably has most of these tombstones.
Oh, there you go. Now we know who we're gonna hit up to cover it then.
And then lastly, of course, we get to the exclusive preview of Bad Dream, A Dreamer's Story. I feel like this is just kind of like a little taste of that graphic novel by Nicole Maines and Ry Hickman.
Yeah. I don't think there's much I can even say on it, because not much happens in it. But
Right.
The art is gorgeous, and it made me excited for when it comes out a full year from now. I just realized looking at it, it goes April 2024. Why'd you do that to us?
It's funny because there's this big debate about, not debate, people are being stupid.
Yeah.
About whether or not cozy horror is a thing.
It definitely is, and people are stupid. But yes, this is cozy horror.
It is cozy horror.
Cozy horror is my favorite genre of horror, so I will be on the side defending that.
Yeah, I mean, if their goal was to showcase the art here, I think they accomplished.
This is really neat. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, Rye's work is great, and I really want to see how Nicole writes the book. Like, I'm wondering how much of it is going to be relying on Rye telling the story mainly through art, and how much Nicole will be using like words, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You mean, so, like, how much of it's gonna be actually like dialogue is what you're saying?
Exactly. Like, I kind of wanted a little dialogue and maybe some narration to like get a bigger taste.
I wonder if they didn't want, I mean, this is a long way out. I wonder if they
there could be edits.
It might not even be finished at this point.
Right. Like, there could be narration and we're just not seeing it.
The colors are really cool too.
I agree. Yeah. It's very dreamlike.
Yeah.
Well, you guys
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make a pun. That just came out.
You guys know I told you I have synesthesia, right?
Yes.
So like my teeth are telling me that the red means something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Making my teeth hurt.
Oh wow.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, can't wait for the Dreamer story. And we have our last pinup, which is I think our last thing to talk about. Them building a house.
Cute.
Or sorry, building a youth center.
The Alan Scott Youth Center.
I love it.
Who are these? Okay, I see the Aerie for real this time, for sure.
Excuse me. Did you see Harper Row, don't you?
And I'm guessing that's Colin under Harper.
That's Colin. Bunker is down here from Teen Titans.
Who is the
Just-
red telephone man
Let me see. Who is that?
on the bottom with the glowy phone?
I see who you're talking about, but I'm actually not
I
sure.
don't
We
know
have
who he is.
Jess Chamber is here. We
That
have
must be a lantern. Is there a lantern?
Oh,
That looks like a lantern thing.
that looks like Bernard, because I feel like I've
Behind
seen
him?
Bernard in that hoodie. Yeah, with the drill.
It does look like Bernard, but it's weird for Bernard to be. Well, I guess Jay is here, so maybe it isn't weird. Jay is back there too.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That
Okay.
John Kent isn't here.
Yeah,
Hmm.
their boyfriends are busy with other stories in this, so. But Jess Chambers is a Flash, so they can be here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's who
That's
it
pretty
is.
cool.
It's
Dreamer.
and Dreamer, and of course Harper Row. When are we gonna get a Harper Row story and not just in the background? I'm begging. I'm
Yeah,
on
now
my
she-
knees, DC.
Hey, she was in the anthology.
She was in the anthology last year too, in like a background. I'm like, please, I beg of you, a story.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Harper.
But that wraps up our coverage of DC Pride 2023.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much, Greg and Shuri, for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun.
It was so fun.
I never get to do this stuff, so it was fun to just.
Well, you can always come back and do stuff like this with us.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was so fun
Thank
geeking
you.
out with you both and just hearing your thoughts on these stories
Yeah.
and both of your insights. Thank you so much. I guess we should ask you where our listeners can find you online, and if you have any projects or just anything you would want to plug that they should be looking out for. Shuri, would you like to go first?
Sure. I am at at what I just
SW Sondheimer on Twitter.
Sondheimer on Twitter.
Aren't you glad I know your Twitter handle?
I am. At SW_Sondheimer on Instagram. And I am doing some geeky art at our website just went live finally.
Yeah.
At Nightjar Bazaar, BAZAAR.myshopify.com. And I might have a little art of that Constantine and King Shark thing.
Yes, you do.
Amazing.
Can we tell listeners about our very silly Met Gala Bat family thing we're doing on Twitter?
Yes, I have that on my list.
So I don't remember exactly how it started, but Shuri and I went through every Bat family member and matched them up with the Met Gala outfit we think they would wear.
Yeah.
And Shuri is currently working on illustrating it.
This is like the Hellfire Gala, but for Batman.
Exactly.
It was the outfit for Tim.
That's right, because you saw that outfit and you texted me, this looks like Tim would wear it.
Yeah.
And it launched the 1,000 memes of here's what this character would wear to the Met
Yep.
Gala.
Especially once we saw Pedro Pascal's and decided that he took off his pants in the limo on the way over because he was wearing like bicycle shorts with like a red jacket.
And we decided it would be Jason
It
showing
would
off his thighs.
Yeah.
AK, I guess I'm just promoting our friendship on Twitter is what I'm saying. Go read our stuff.
We're both very funny.
Greg, what about you? Where can our listeners find you and anything to plug?
I'm at Greg Lockard on Twitter, but I'm not really active there these days. And I'm Pink Pop RX on Instagram, which is an old AOL screen name.
I love that.
I held on to, and I missed the window of changing it to at Greg Lockard, but I'm making it work. And I just had a graphic novel come out on Comixology Originals, rest in peace, in
R.I.P.
Oh no.
at the end of February, called Trick Pony.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a gay rodeo star's road trip through like a idealized American Southwest.
Oh, sign me up. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. I can send you all like the PDF too, if you'd
Aw,
like,
you're
for
so
ease
kind.
of reading.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
not you listeners. No, just kidding. Please,
For
yeah, but please check it out.
everyone.
Just us.
I have links I have a website called Read Trick Pony, just to make it simple, that has links to stuff and or reviews and stuff. People have been really kind about that one. And then if you're into something maybe a little more historical and maybe a little more
Devastating.
devastating.
Devastating is the right word. But
yeah,
beautiful.
it's definitely
Beautiful.
thing. Yeah, it's part of the real world, like we were talking about earlier. It's called Liebestrasse. It's illustrated and co-created with Tim Fish, and came out from Dark Horse last July. So this is our first Pride with the book, and I was at an event this past weekend, selling it at the LGBT center here in New York, and it was just great. Like the people, kind of like when I saw you at ALA, like people have read it now and people recognize it, or people have been so excited and nice about it that it's just fun just to sit there with the book and smile at strangers.
I love that.
Yeah,
and it was so good. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I watched a movie called Firebird. It's like gays in the military.
Yes.
You watch it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was watching the movie. I'm like, I've seen this before, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I just read Greg's book a few months ago.
Yeah.
I was like, same energy.
The kissing in the ocean or the lake or wherever they.
And it's so beautiful.
It is beautiful. That was a good one.
Anyway, I've enjoyed both of those things. Same energy.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the Harley Quinn, if we haven't convinced you already, check out Greg's Midnight Apollo story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the last year's Pride story, which was also amazing.
Yeah.
Greg's just writing amazing things right and left.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying. Yeah. Being part of that hardcover, that's beautiful. That collection is beautiful from that Pride story.
What a big deal.
And and that Harley Quinn romance story was just so much fun.
That wasn't it. Doing a Harley Quinn romance anthology was just a galaxy brain idea. God, what a brilliant thing.
Yeah. You sit at the convention and everyone just walks by and gets it. And,
I love that Harley like cover where she's like doing the throw back the hair in the ocean. It kills me.
Yes. Yeah, and the hunky Clark and Lois one too.
Oh, I know. Oh my God.
There were all those, and they're just so good. I hope they do more of that too. That was fun.
Please, yes. Well, it was so lovely having you on. I hope you both come back soon. I know you will, Shiri. So, Greg, you better agree to as well.
Oh yeah. Anytime. Just send up the bad signal.
You
bet. Sorry, I said it already.
The mustache signal.
I had to do it one more time.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm a terrible person.
No,
I like it. No, it's branding, I guess.
It is.
It's branding. A brand. It is your brand.
It is.
That's great. I love it. Thank you.
You can't do it now. You can't.
Well, until next time, guys. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Thank you.
Pride.
Thank you for listening to the Gotham Outsiders. You can find me, Chris, on Twitter at The Myth of Psyche, where I talk about feminism, psychology, and Batman, of course. But you can also find me on my new show at Thirsty on Tune over on the Talking Comics feed, where Bronwyn and I review webtoons and drink wine and also review romance novels. You can also find me writing reviews at talkingcomics.com, and I am now accepting consulting clients. So if you need someone to do sensitivity reading or consult on psychology or queer identity, I'm your person. You can also find my co-host TJ
at Troyfin2 on Twitter, where I talk about books, gay things, gay books, and all sorts of things, including Batman pretty often, way more than I used to. And I recently became an official librarian, so you can find all sorts of book reviews that I post just for fun, a lot of advanced reviews of books that haven't come out yet. So if you're looking for a nice gay read, please hit me up. You could also find me talking on other podcasts just here and there if you search my name on any podcast service provider that you listen to.
And you can find us both talking about Batman all the time at the Gotham Outsiders. So join us next time. Same bat time, same bat place.